It's my pleasure to have Kelly Mowry on the show. Kelly's a good friend, lives right here in Long Beach. Her husband Josh was on our show, was in the Joe Paterno movie. And Kelly, welcome.
Thank you, Howie. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Hard act to follow.
Well, we're not asking you to sing.
Okay, good.
But you've had a quite interesting journey through life. You know, one of the great Yankees of all time, we'll start with that, is Mickey Mantle.
Yep.
And let's talk about your relationship with the great, legendary Mickey Mantle.
Well, Mickey Mantle became my friend because I was the very first person to work at the restaurant. It opened in 1988.
And there's a picture of you in the Mick.
Yep, me and the Mick. And that is Greer Johnson, who continues to be my very, very good friend. That was Mickey's manager and best friend. And that picture is actually after he passed away. We had an auction and everything went to charity. And Mickey, you know, when it wasn't me, it was Bill Lederman decided to open up a restaurant on Central Park South. And basically he wanted three people. The first was Mickey Mantle, Ali, or Joe Namath. And Mickey went right for it. So I was the first one hired. I became Mickey's very good friend through Greer Johnson, who continues to be my good friend. And I was his personal server. I sat there when he was with Billy Crystal, Whitey Ford, Billy Martin. I was there when Billy passed away. We had the reception there afterwards. It was a lot of fun. I mean, everybody came to Mickey's because they wanted to see Mickey. But even after Mickey passed away, it continued to be such an incredible place. I mean, everybody came there. And Mickey was, he was beyond life. He was...
Larger than life.
Larger than life, yes, he was. He actually, when I left, he signed 4 of these for me. And these were the vests that we wore. And signed 4 of them for me. And they're worth quite a bit of money. And then, after... he also signed the book, and this is all I have after Sandy did our house. With so many books I got for people, that he was such a doll and so sweet about everything. I mean, he was a handful, but he was a kind, generous person. And I guess really what you would say today, besides the fact that he's such a great ball player, was the fact that he was a great teammate, and he was a donor in his later life. You know, he advocated being a donor, and that's remarkable.
And from a personal relationship, he was a great friend and a really great human being.
He was a very good friend. He was invited to our wedding. We got married on June 10th, 1995. He died in August, so he was not able to be at the wedding. But the day we got engaged on a Saturday, on Monday I called him and I said, do you think maybe you'd come over and have a bite to eat with us? Well, he couldn't because he wasn't feeling so hot, you know, but at the end of the night, he picked up our check. So when we got home, my husband, Josh, had never met him. But I said, we have to call Mickey and tell him thank you for the dinner. And so there was my husband on the phone for 20 minutes with his idol. You know, he never got to meet him, but I think that he had a very good time speaking with him and thanking him. And Mickey was, he would put me at Old Timers Day. He would make me sit down and talk to Moose Gower and Joe Pepitone, Whitey Ford, everybody. And I'm serving chicken fried steak. You know what I'm saying? It was so funny. And he was just a great guy. He was a very good friend. And again, I will say that he was very instrumental in being a donor and being a great teammate, and also being a fabulous ball player.
Yeah, I remember it was a little before, you know, my time that I started watching. I think I was only 7 years old at the time, so I wasn't really following baseball. But I was 4 years old. During the time where Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle were battling, the press tried to make it seem like they were rivals and not good friends,
right.
And yet they were roommates and the best of friends.
Correct.
And even though Mickey got hurt,
yeah.
He probably would have got the record, but he got hurt. He was really a great friend to Roger Maris and supporter.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, I do think that Billy Martin was extremely close to him. I know Whitey was. But Billy and him seem to have had some good old stories together to tell. And he was just, like I said, a wonderful person and very kind to me, very kind to everybody. I remember Mickey Mantles had WFAN that was there every Friday. And so everything was always going on at Mickey Mantles. There's always something going on, whether it was Rod Jobert coming in or so many different people would come in from hockey and baseball and I mean, they even put me on and hooked me up with Mad Dog Russo. We went on a date, you know, and they did that. Bill Mazer did that.
Okay.
It was kind of a funny thing. I mean, we weren't really, well, let's just say, yeah, we weren't really meant for each other, but we had a nice time. So, but we had a lot of good times at Mickey Mantles.
And I remember something that happened in '04. I don't know if you could remember this. It turned out to be an extremely bad idea, but someone had an idea when the Red Sox won the World Series to rename Mickey Mantles Ted Williams, and that did not go over well with New York. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, I wasn't there then, but I do remember it. And Bill Lederman and John Lowy were the instruments behind Mickey Mantles. And again, I don't know what happened. I was already gone, but no, it did not go over well at all. But there was always controversy at Mickey Mantles. It wasn't just like I said, which is kind of what made it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I do recall that. But I had been gone for about 5 years prior to that. Yeah.
All right, now let's turn to Elizabeth Taylor.
Sure.
Maybe one of the most elegant, beautiful, controversial, married 8 times actresses of all time.
Correct.
But you had a special relationship with the one and only Elizabeth Taylor. Let's talk about that.
Okay. One of my best friends is Maria Burton. She was adopted by Elizabeth Taylor, first with Eddie Fisher, and then legally by Richard Burton. Maria and I became friends. I was 21 years old. Her husband had an agency in New York. We became great friends. And through many, many, many years. And I guess it was 2000, I believe, her brother could not make it to be the godparents, so they invited Josh and I to come. And we went to Elizabeth Taylor's house. And now prior to that, I have seen Elizabeth Taylor. I've talked on the phone to Eddie Fisher. I've talked on the phone to many people. And I'll tell you a very funny story prior to that. But what we did is that Josh and I stood in for the godparents at Elizabeth Taylor's house. And I have pictures. So I'll show you these pictures.
All right, awesome.
Yeah. Here's Josh and I at the christening. And then that's Elizabeth Taylor. And she was a doll. She was a very lovely person. Was not a very big house. We went there and, you know, we just had a very nice time. When we walked into the door, the hallway, you would see a picture of Sugar. And this is something like maybe a Girl Scout could draw. On the side are your Matisses and your Chagalls and your all kinds of different, but this was a picture of Sugar, her darling dog. And she was a very big activist. But I will tell you one funny story. Prior to us going to the, many, many years ago when Liz got married to Larry Fortensky, it was a very rainy day in Manhattan. I went to Valentino's. I was meeting Maria there. And they kind of shooed me away, kind of like Pretty Woman, you know, like because I was not dressed properly.
Right.
Maria comes in. She's dressed like me. Our hair's all whatever. We had been out in the rain. And they kind of shoot us away a little bit. And they said, now, why are you here? We go, we're here to get, Maria said, my daughter's wedding dress. And who is the wedding? Elizabeth Taylor and Larry Fortensky. Well, boom. Everything changed from there. It was just like Pretty Woman. And Michael Jackson walked Elizabeth Taylor up the aisle. And they had a very wonderful relationship. They were both child actors, and they were, you know, they had a very nice relationship. So that was Larry Fortensky. But yeah, I think her love of her life was, of course, Richard Burton. And it was a pleasure to meet Elizabeth Taylor. It's obviously wonderful to have Maria as one of my best friends. And that's pretty much Howie, except for what I'm doing now.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm excited to know, I don't know if we can talk about it, but I cannot wait for The Irishman to come out.
Okay, I don't know anything about that. I did audition for it. I did not get the part. The Irishman, there's several things. First of all, it's done. and I'm not sure why it's not out, because I have a feeling Netflix might take it, I'm not sure. And the other odd thing about this is that, if you remember that movie, Benjamin Button, how they took him, and that's how they're doing the actors. So Joe Pesci, Pacino, De Niro, everybody, they're not having younger actors play them. They're monitoring it, how they do that
Right.
special thing.
CGI?
CGI, I'm not really sure how that works.
Yeah.
You know, if it's really, but yes, you're
I
very.
bet the thing I can't wait is, you know,
Is
in
he
the
all back?
legendary careers of Al Pacino and Robert De Niro,
Yeah,
they've only been in one movie together
Right.
where they had a lot of dialogue together, The Righteous Kill, which is not a movie that went over too well.
Right.
Heat, they only had a few lines together, and even though they were both in The Godfather,
yeah.
they
saw
never
each
had
other.
a scene
Right,
together.
right.
But I understand in The Irishman, they
Yeah.
had a lot of scenes together. I cannot wait to see
Well,
that.
I'll tell you something. The amount of people they had working on it, it's incredible. The money, and just to have Scorsese, who I had met, Pacino, De Niro, Pesci, Bobby Cannavale. I mean,
Ray Romano.
it's crazy. And the amount of money that they did, because it went 60s, 70s, and 80s. So you have to have the cars, you have to have everything. It's an extremely expensive movie. And that's why I believe that maybe, I don't know why it's not at cinemas yet. You know?
Can't wait to see it though.
Oh, I know. Yeah, me too.
But anyway, definitely fascinating stories about Mickey Mantle and Elizabeth Taylor. And on future shows, we want to hear about some other very important people you hobnob with in the future. But happy Cinco de Mayo, and thanks for sharing, and thanks for the stories and the pictures. And that's awesome. Mickey Mantle and Elizabeth Taylor, two superstars in their respective industries.
Thank you, Howie. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. And you know what? Just to be a humbled wannabe actor in Manhattan, it takes you on so many different paths to meet so many different people and have so many good stories. So thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Rocco.
Let's give it up for Kelly Bowery. Woo!